Neshaminy Mall, a Philly region mall that's fallen on hard times and appears to be undergoing the transition to mixed use. Even with this footage from 2019, you can see the cracks showing. Let's step inside and discuss the Neshaminy Mall's condition. Neshaminy Mall's roots can be traced back to plans in 1966, with the mall opening officially in 1968, boasting Sears and Strawbridge and Clothier as its original anchors. The mall would have been a collaboration between the Corman Company and Strauss Greenberg, the mall being constructed at the low price of $24 million. In 1975, the mall would receive an expansion which would bring forward a new corridor of inline space and Lit Brothers. However, Lit Brothers would close immediately in 1977, the chain experiencing issues in the Philadelphia region. Fortunately, this would be addressed as Pomeroy's came to pick up the slack. And Pomeroy's, of course, would become Bon Ton when the chain sold out in 1987. Following 1989, the mall would gain the addition of a food court, and the following year would get acquired by Hallmark Development at a premium price of $50 million. But in 1994, Bon Ton would flee the mall, not appearing to like where the mall was going. Hallmark did have a plan though, and in 1995 would go forward with a major renovation to the mall, which would have expanded the mall's food court and update its image. Around the same time, Boscov's would come to replace the former Bon Ton. Additionally, General Growth Properties would acquire the mall after taking over Hallmark Development. A 24-screen cinema had been proposed for the mall, but the township at first turned down the proposal. But in 1997, they had a change of heart and walked the rejection back. The cinema would proceed to be built and opened in 1998 for the low price of $11 million. And come to think of it, that is quite a lot of money spent on the mall in total so far. Fast forward to 2005, and Federated Department Stores, whom had control of Strawbridge and Clothier at the time, would acquire the May Department Stores Company. This would lead to the conversion of everything into Macy's in 2006, of which Strawbridge and Clothier couldn't escape from. Remnants of the past do remain, however, most notably in the Strawbridge and Clothier seal of approval that can be found on the entrances. In 2009, Barnes & Noble would take over the space of a former pet store, operating as a junior anchor. And in 2012, Neshaminy Mall would undergo a minor renovation to keep its image fresh, with Boscov's using this as an opportunity to expand their own store. And then, the Dark Age began. Neshaminy Mall had been experiencing the slow rot of vacancy, and anchoritis would begin to set in. In January 2017, Macy's would announce closure, along with 67 other stores nationwide, and would proceed to close in April that year. October 2018 would then see Sears announce closure. 2019 outlined plans for the round 1 to fill in the vacant Sears, but those plans ultimately fell through. Whether it was because of 2020 or some other anomaly is unknown at this time. Towards the end of 2020, the empty anchors are being addressed, with the former Macy's slated to become a mixed-use space, and the former Sears to become medical offices, beginning this mall's venture into alternative use. The mall itself, however, continues to empty out, with the food court's offerings diminishing and more prominent names fleeing the mall as a whole, which includes H&M. Whatever happens in the future, I hope to see Neshaminy Mall reinvent itself and remain viable to Bucks County. Now, wasn't that just a lovely display before Strawbridge and Clothiers? Neshaminy Mall looks somewhat plain besides that display. It's standard fare for 90s design, but overall, I actually kinda like this mall. Maybe it's the big airy spaces in the courts, or something about the 60s layout that this is built over, or maybe it's the bias towards the display before Strawbridge's. But it looks a lot more pleasant to me than it probably should. Tell me I'm not the only one who thinks this is the case. The big question, though, is how long will this mall remain in operation? Philadelphia is overmalled even today, and Neshaminy Mall is not exactly in a good position to keep going as a mall, especially when its competition are malls like the King of Prussia, Philadelphia, Franklin Mills, and the Gallery downtown. Add on to that Pennsylvania still has a dictator for a governor, and Neshaminy is not going to fare very well at all. On the upside, though, Neshaminy has received some transitions into alternative use, specifically with the redevelopment slated for the old Strawbridges, and the conversion of medical offices for Sears. Entertainment and dine-in options are still heavily limited in Pennsylvania, so that's also going to rule out a number of possibilities for Neshaminy Mall's survival. At least until those restrictions get lifted, if they get lifted. So once again, I'm being a little pessimistic with this mall's future. I'm going to predict a redevelopment plan will be outlined for this mall, and that redevelopment plan will include demalling, or just outright demolishing the interior space to replace it with something else. Likely more office space or residential. That said, I know the Good Samaritans would love to use a big empty space like this as a homeless shelter. And with a little bit of planning and an arrangement, that could happen. Like it has with the Macy's at the late Landmark Mall in Alexandria, Virginia. That's enough from me, though. What did you think about the Neshaminy Mall? And what thoughts do you have about its future? In fact, what would you do with a dying mall like this one in 2020 and beyond? Do share your comments down below, after hitting that like button and subscribing if you haven't already. We are still pushing forward despite the challenges ahead, and I intend to bring you a broad mix of giant mega malls like these, as well as those smaller malls in the countryside. Thanks for having me, Bucks County, and until next time, this is Doomie Grunt wishing you and the Neshaminy Mall farewell and good luck in this mad, mad world.